Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to conservation and careful management of the state's forests to make them more resilient and better habitats for wildlife. ChooseWood.com.
It's Monday, July 31st. This is The Gateway. I'm Wayne Pratt. Ticks can carry a wide range of diseases. Most are relatively minor.
That being said, we have seen patients fever more than 60 days with ehrlichiosis, so it can lead to death.
We'll learn more about how to prevent and identify tick-borne illnesses in just a few minutes. Missouri has removed more than 30,000 people from its Medicaid program in the first month of disenrolling recipients since the pandemic. St. Louis Public Radio's Sarah Fenton reports the COVID-19 emergency is over, so there is no longer a federal rule keeping states from kicking people off the health insurance program.
During the pandemic, Medicaid enrollment in Missouri swelled to almost 1.5 million people. According to state data, the Missouri Department of Social Services kicked 32,000 people off the rolls in the last month. Only 1/3 were removed because of income or other eligibility factors. Officials removed the rest because the state couldn't prove they were eligible because of missing paperwork or other information. About half kicked off were children, says Maya Moody, president of the Missouri chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics.
Hopefully this won't be the canary in our coal mine and that we can make some adjustments and do some further outreach and make the process as simple as possible.
The state will review eligibility for batches of people month by month for about a year. I'm Sarah Fenton, St. Louis Public Radio.
A new audit is showing massive fraud tied to unemployment benefits paid out by Illinois during the pandemic. Dave McKinney reports.
Republicans are criticizing Governor J.B. Pritzker's administration for the findings by State Auditor General Frank Martino. Martino's report found the state paid out $5.2 billion in fraudulent or excessive unemployment claims between 2020 and 2022. Some of that money went to inmates and even dead people. Here's GOP State Senator Chapin Rose, who ordered the audit.
How on earth are dead people and prisoners getting millions upon millions of dollars of unemployment compensation? It's just insane.
Other states were victimized too, and the Pritzker administration says it's assisting law enforcement in trying to find the perpetrators. This is Dave McKinney.
An independent analysis of federal data ranks Missouri second last in the nation in the hours of care received by nursing home residents. The Long-Term Care Community Coalition finds Missouri nursing home residents, on average, receive about 3 hours of care a day. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services recommends a minimum of about 4 hours. Marjorie Moore is executive director of Voice. That's a statewide nonprofit which advocates for people in nursing homes. She says the facilities need to pay more to attract workers.
You can't expect somebody to come in just above minimum wage pay and expect for them to stay in that position for a career.
Other reports show nursing home staffing nationwide is still below pre-pandemic levels. The execution stay for a man who killed a 6-year-old in Valley Park more than 20 years ago has been lifted. That means Johnny Johnson will be put to death by lethal injection tomorrow for the murder of Casey Williamson. The Post-Dispatch reports a panel of federal appeals court judges over the weekend reversed an 8th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals decision issued last week to stop the execution. Johnson's lawyers have argued he should not be put to death because of mental illness. People under 18 are no longer allowed to sign up for a library card at St. Charles City County Library branches without a parent or guardian. The library's board adopted the policy in response to a new rule by Missouri Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft. It establishes a certification process for state-funded public libraries to adopt policies for age-appropriate reading materials. St. Charles City County Library District CEO Jason Kuhl says he's concerned that the rule will deter teens from wanting a card.
It's interesting in today's environment where pretty much anything is available to anyone on their phone. The idea that we have to put this barrier up for a library is pretty out of touch.
Libraries throughout Missouri have until today to submit their written policies to the state librarian. The St. Louis Cardinals are making moves ahead of tomorrow's Major League Baseball trade deadline. The Cards have shipped reliever Jordan Hicks to Toronto for pitching prospects. They also traded pitchers Jordan Montgomery and Chris Stratton to Texas for another player and 2 minor leaguers. Baseball operations president John Mozeliak says more deals are possible.
Today was an event. We moved 3 key players. Do I anticipate more to come? Probably.
The Cardinals are last in the National League's Central Division, 11 games out of first. It's tick season, and while they are annoying when you head outside, they also bring the risk of illnesses. Rebecca Smith reports on what you can do to keep yourself safe.
It's a beautiful summer morning. Birds are chirping, there's a light breeze, the sun is shining but not yet unbearable as Deb Hudman and I head outside. Hudman works for the Missouri Department of Conservation, and today, armed with a sheet of flannel she drags along the ground, we're going tick hunting.
So this is the lovely Lone Star. You can see her white dot, so we know she's an adult female.
Hudman recently conducted the Missouri Ticks and Tick-Borne Pathogens Surveillance Research Study. She says her study found many tick-borne illnesses are present in Missouri, and while most are mild illnesses, they can present serious problems, especially for those who are older than 40, very young, or immunocompromised. Dr. William Rowland is a professor of clinical medicine at the University of Missouri and says most are short-term illnesses.
That being said, we have seen patients fever more than 60 days with ehrlichiosis, so it can lead to death.
He says the most common tick-borne illnesses here are ehrlichiosis, tularemia, and Rocky Mountain spotted fever. And according to the CDC, Missouri is actually one of the hot spots for ehrlichiosis in Rocky Mountain, in the top 5 states for both. Rowland says they've also seen cases of Lyme disease as well as the red meat allergy caused by ticks called alpha-gal. And while some of the symptoms can be very specific to these diseases, like spots with Rocky Mountain, skin ulcers with tularemia, or the well-known bullseye rash of Lyme disease, almost all tick-borne bacterial diseases begin the same.
Usually they'll present with a high fever, real high, like 104 degrees, bad headache, aches all over, plus minus a rash.
Luckily, Rowland says, treatment with the antibiotic doxycycline within days of symptoms can prevent serious illness in most cases. Molly Baker is the vector-borne disease surveillance coordinator for the state. She says the most effective way to prevent tick-borne illness is to keep ticks off you in the first place, by wearing light-colored clothes, using EPA-approved bug repellent, avoiding shaded areas along the edge of forests, and doing regular tick checks after being outside. Baker adds that ticks should also be removed as soon as possible.
Because the longer it's attached, the higher the chances are that a disease could be transmitted.
And they need to be removed properly, either by carefully using tweezers to remove the tick from the base or using a tick remover. Because removing them improperly, like smothering them with Vaseline or pulling them out by the body, can actually cause the tick to effectively throw up any pathogen they're carrying into your body. So, what should you do if you find a tick on you? First, don't panic. Ticks are just a part of living in Missouri. Baker says to remember.
Not everybody who gets a tick-borne disease is actually going to go on to develop symptoms.
Second, remove the tick. And Deb Hudman says maybe keep it around in case you develop any flu-like symptoms or rashes.
Put it on a piece of Scotch tape. If you have a wall calendar, stick it on the date you found it. And then forget about it. If you don't get any symptoms for 10 to 14 days after that tick bite, throw it away.
But if you do, seek medical care right away. So, ticks and tick-borne illnesses are and are going to continue to be in Missouri. But Hudman says it's all a balance.
I think it's just being careful, like I have pulled thousands of ticks off me and I'm alive.
I'm Rebecca Smith.
Rebecca is a reporter with KBIA in Columbia. The Gateway is a production of St. Louis Public Radio, a listener-supported service of the University of Missouri St. Louis. Music by Ryan McNeely of Adult Fur. I'm Wayne Pratt.
Support comes from Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to sustainable and sound conservation of the state's forests, which support more than 41,000 Missouri jobs, resulting in a $10 billion industry. choosewood.com.